Today we're going to take a closer look at the broad semiconductor market. More importantly, we're going to take a closer look at 3 individual topics. If we take a closer look, today is kind of the opposite of what we saw yesterday. We can see Nasdaq is down roughly 1% as I am recording today's episode, and the iShares Semiconductor ETF, ticker SOXX, is pretty much flat. We can see it has kind of pulled up in the past few hours, but that is different compared to what we saw yesterday where it was up a nice amount. In the past 5 days, the overall ETF is up 5%. In the past month, it's down roughly 2.7%, and in the past 6 months, it's down roughly 23%. I know most of my viewers are interested in the semiconductor space, so I wanted to take a closer look at the 3 following topics. First, we're going to take a closer look at the global semiconductor sales. A new report recently came out kind of showcasing the growth or decline in the space. We're also going to take a closer look at a huge memory company. They are planning on investing a lot of money domestically, but they're also seeing a lot of incentives to invest internationally. Finally, I want to take a closer look at some more export bans that are expected to come and how it might affect the market. So let's get started.
I do want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and make sure to check out fool.com/Jose to get the top 10 stocks to buy right now.
So the first article I want to take a closer look at is from the Semiconductor Industry Association, and they have some pretty cool data from the World Semiconductor Trade Statistics Organization. First, they mentioned that for the full month of August, global semiconductor sales increased 0.1% year to year. Unfortunately, if we take a closer look at month to month, it did decrease 3.5% compared to July of 2022. And this is the biggest percentage drop since February of 2019. So this chart pretty much paints the picture that, hey, this overall semiconductor market sales growth did kind of peak in, I want to say, January of 2021. If we take a closer look at actual revenue, we can see that peak was just a few months ago. So what a lot of investors are worried right now that, hey, we're seeing a decline in revenue growth. We're also seeing a decline from revenue peaks. And normally this kind of leads to a downtrend. The real question is, how far are we in this downtrend? And is it just starting, or is it going to be picking back up pretty soon? As we can see from this chart, certain downtrends can last a few years, certain can last a few quarters, and certain can last just a few months. So unfortunately, even with historical data, we can't really determine where the market is going to be. The article also shared this presentation which shares kind of the month to month and year to year sale growth by regions. First, we can see the biggest hit, and one of the main reasons the overall market is seeing a huge downturn is due to China. China is the biggest spender in semiconductors, and we can see month to month they are down 4.9%, the biggest drop out of all the regions. And if we take a closer look at year to year sales, it's down roughly 10%. Again, China is the largest spender in semiconductor when we take a closer look. On some bullish case, and I want to say this is pretty important to understand, America, the second largest, is up actually 11.5% year to year, and Europe is actually up 4.9% year to year. We can also see Japan down up 7.8%. So we can see right now it does seem like China is the biggest impact in the semiconductor growth as we're kind of experiencing this downturn right now, but it does seem like America's is still pretty healthy. I do want to mention TSMC, the huge manufacturer of semiconductors, does report monthly revenue growth, and they did report for August they saw 58.7% compared to prior year. In the upcoming 5 days, we should get the September numbers, and I want to say that might give us a little insight of what the semiconductor space is also seeing. The second article I want to take a closer look at is Micron Technology, but first, if you are enjoying today's episode, make sure to hit the thumbs up as it does help me grow my overall audience. If you want to support a little bit more, make sure to subscribe using my link at fool.com/Jose. Finally, if you want to learn more about the semiconductor market, make sure to sign up to my newsletter. The link is down below. So here we can see on October 4th, Micron announces a historical investment of up to $100 billion to build mega fab in central New York. For those not familiar, Micron Technology is the only US-based manufacturer of memory. Some people might be like, Jose, $100 billion is a lot of money. Are you sure that's what they said? The answer is yes, but this is going to be over the next 20 plus years. So it's definitely going to be money kind of so it's definitely not going to all happen at once. They do mention the first phase of investment is going to be $20 billion planned by the end of this decade. Again, that's still a long time from now. If we take a closer look, site preparation will start in 2023 and construction will begin in 2024, and production output will ramp in the later half of the decade. I mean, right now we are definitely seeing a lot of kind of companies bring back their domestic manufacturing here in the United States, as a few things are happening. First, a lot of countries are trying to give incentives. For example, the United States gave the CHIPS Act to kind of bring more manufacturing here, and we're seeing the same by other countries. For example, Japan is willing to come up with about $320 million of subsidies for Micron Technologies to build a factory in Japan. I do want to say this announcement came at a really interesting time because Micron has recently announced in their most recent earnings that they're actually reducing their capex for the fiscal of 2023. They even mentioned their wafer fab equipment capex will decline nearly 50% year over year as they're seeing a slow kind of demand for their products. The final article I want to take a closer look at is one that we have seen numerous reports online right now. The New York Times reported on Monday that the United States is expected to announce new measures restricting Chinese companies from gaining access to technologies enabling high-performance computing. If we take a closer look at the previous topics, right now we have seen that there have been numerous export bans for China. I wonder if that's also playing a role in kind of the month-to-month revenue growth in the Chinese market and the year-to-year revenue growth. Obviously, China is also being impacted by numerous macroeconomics, but I wonder if this is also pushing that decline as well. I mean, this is not the first time the United States has kind of created these export bans to China. There have been a few recently announced in the past 2 months. For example, in this article posted on September 13th of 2022, we did see that the federal government is planning on banning companies from selling chip-making equipments in China without a license from the Commerce Department. And we also saw similar restrictions where Nvidia and AMD are unable to sell certain artificial intelligence chips to China. At the end of the day, I'm still very bullish in the semiconductor space, but there are definitely numerous headwinds affecting this market. So let me know your thoughts. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.